So I'll get right to the point. I'm about to show you a very simple feature that took me about 2 hours to build with test-driven development, when it probably would have taken me less than 30 minutes without testing. Now, I don't think TDD is a waste of time, but I know a lot of people do think that, especially if your app isn't sending rockets to the moon. So in this video, I hope to convince you why it was worth spending 4 times as long building this simple feature. So this is it over on the right here, the very first feature of an application I'm building. And specifically, I need to do perhaps the most common thing ever, which is adding an item to a list. Now, I think this is an interesting example to follow because I have a general idea of what I want to build because I've built this app before, but I'm doing a complete rewrite and redeciding the architecture as I go. So it's going to show what TDD looks like when there is a bit of back and forth and mind changing as we build. So we're going to go on a journey commit by commit, and I'm going to show you why this took me 2 hours. And at the end, we will discuss why I think it was all worth it. So this all starts 23 commits ago at commit A7D763B. And as we switch through commits here, that's going to cause problems with the serving over here. So we'll just get rid of that so we have more room for the code, and we'll come back to that later. Okay, so let's start at this commit, and we're going to make our way back through each commit. And I will skip some commits that don't have anything relevant in them. And by doing this, hopefully you'll be able to get a bit of a feel for what the back and forth of building with TDD looks like in a realistic scenario. So we start by creating an end-to-end test to describe the feature that we want to build. So this captures the entire feature at a high level from an end user perspective. So in this case, we assume that there'll be a checklist button to click. We will enter a title, click a save button, and then we expect that the item will be added to the list. So that's basically what we just looked at a moment ago when I added that hello item. And to speed things up a bit in this video, I'm not actually going to show running the test for each step. But if you'd like to see an example of tests actually running as we build, I'll link to another video for that. So in the next commit, the first thing that we are going to do is satisfy this first step of the E2E test just simply by adding a checklist button to the home page. So you can see here, I've set up this click handler and I call add checklist. Now that isn't going to progress us much with the E2E test because all we're doing is calling a method that hasn't been implemented yet. So what we're going to do in the next commit is write some unit tests to start implementing some of that actual functionality. So I've added a couple of unit tests here that are going to check that when the checklist modal is open, that it will actually launch the app add checklist modal. And I also want that to be hidden initially as well. So we add a check here to make sure that the modal is not displayed initially, only after clicking that add checklist button. And I've added some code in the template here to handle displaying that add checklist component. It doesn't actually exist yet. And you might also notice I actually decided to rename that method as well. No particular reason there. This is just sort of like a stream of consciousness kind of thing as I'm writing the code. And I originally tried to go with this is open approach to hiding and displaying this modal. And so you can see I've also added in a bit of code here as well for that. But as you'll see in a moment, I decided not to go with this method. Okay, so now to progress more, I need to actually create the add checklist component. And you can see here in this commit, I've actually removed some of the stuff I had done initially. And I've shifted focus to just building this add checklist component, which you can see here. I've added it to the UI folder under our home feature. If you're interested in the structure I'm using here to build this, I'll link to a separate video on that. So this component exists now, but it doesn't actually do anything yet. It's just a blank component. All I want really is for this code I've added here, which we are covering with unit tests. I just want this not to fail. So now that the add checklist component exists, it's going to be able to actually use that. And then in the next commit, I've just added this shared folder with an interface for the actual checklist data. And then in the next commit, I actually start working on this add checklist modal component. Now the first thing I do is write the test before I do the actual functionality because I'm using a TDD approach. And so if we look at these tests, we can see what it is that I want this component to do. So you can see here that I'm expecting to have a checklist form group defined. And within that form group, I'm expecting that the title value should be required. And I also want to check that if the form is not valid, that the save button is disabled. And then I also have a test here for the save method. So when the save method is called, the dismiss function of the modal controller should be called, and it should pass back the form values so that we could listen to that in the onDidDismiss handler. We could get those form values out of this component so that our home component could actually access that value. And then I also want to be able to cancel this. So I want to be able to click the close button and the modal will be dismissed. So I add those tests first, and then I add whatever code is necessary to make those tests pass. So you can see here, I've set up that form with the title that's required. I've got the dismiss methods going on here. And in the template, I have the appropriate binding set up for the save button and also that disabled as well. Now, usually I would just focus on one end-to-end test at a time. But at this point, I decided I needed a way to cancel adding a checklist and close the modal. And I figured an E2E test was the best or easiest way to do this. So I added another E2E test for this functionality. And at this point, the approach with the add modal started to feel a bit cumbersome, this add checklist component that we have created here. And I knew that I was going to need to use this sort of functionality in multiple places. In the app, I would need the ability to supply a title for a new checklist, supply a new title for editing a checklist, supplying data for a checklist item, and also for editing that checklist item. So what I decided to do was refactor this out into a shared generic form modal component. And this form modal would be able to take a form group as input to dynamically display whatever inputs I needed. So if I wanted to display a title input, for example, I need that data. I could just create a form group in my home component with a title form control and then pass that into this form modal as an input. So I created this component and I started adding tests to describe what I wanted it to do. So generally when I'm creating a dumb presentational component like this, I just consider what do I want this to actually do? And then I write unit tests to cover that. And this is a sort of black box style thinking or approach to testing where we're sort of avoiding necessarily testing the implementation details. We're not testing how we should code this. We're testing the result we want. And generally this is going to involve testing the inputs and outputs for this component. So what I've done is first I've added a test that, again, like we did with the other modal, it should disable the save button if the form is invalid. So we have an invalid form set up. We grab that save button and just check that it is actually disabled. As I mentioned, this is going to have a form group input. And so what it should do with that form group input is it should render a text input for each of those controls. So if I provided a form group with a title, name and date field or something like that, it's going to render out 3 individual inputs for those. And I also need to check that those inputs are bound to the control. So if we actually change the input value, it's going to be reflected in that form group. And I also need a way to label the forms. So I created this test that's going to use the form control name as the label for the input. So this provides me a very low configuration way to set up this form, but this approach does have its limitations. For example, I might not want to be limited to having the label for the form only be what the form control's name is. But at least for the purposes I need, this is going to work really well. And it also has a title input, so I've got a test for that to make sure the title is displayed correctly. And we have an output as well, a save event, which is just going to be triggered when the form is submitted. And then I just added the code to satisfy these tests. So I just set up the inputs and the outputs in the component. And then in the template, I'm again just satisfying those tests. I'm rendering out a input for each of those controls. I'm using the key value pipe here to be able to actually use the name of the control. And I use that both as the label and as the form control name. And I've got the button set up as well. And again, it's being disabled when it should be disabled. So in the previous commit, I was trying out different ways to handle testing that the form control was actually bound to the input, but it wasn't working out. So in this commit, I just used a different method to test that the controls are actually bound. And basically I just set a value on the form control and check that that is reflected in the actual input. So next, I needed to create the form that would be supplied to the form modal from its smart parent component, the home page. So I wrote this test to check that the checklist form has a title field that is required. And then I just created that form in the home page, and I make sure to supply it to the app form modal. Now at this point, I was checking on the E2E test, see if we've made any progress there. And I actually needed to fix up some of the selectors in the end-to-end test. So that's all I did in this commit. It's not really important for the demonstration here. And to progress things further, I needed to add the ability to dismiss the modal. So I added a test here to make sure that the modal is dismissed when the form is submitted, and again, made sure to implement the code to satisfy that test just by creating this handle save method here that's called when the form is submitted, and that's going to handle emitting that save event, and it's also going to dismiss the modal. I also needed to dismiss the modal when the action was cancelled. So I added another test for that here, and again added the code to satisfy that. We now have this dismiss method that will call the dismiss method on the modal controller, and that can be triggered when the close button is clicked. So now that I was happy with the new generic app form modal approach, in this commit, I just deleted the old add checklist modal that I created originally. And now I needed a way to handle actually doing something with the data that the user entered. So I created a test. So when we call the add checklist method, we are expecting that the add method from our checklist service is going to be called with the value of the form. So we're passing that value from our home component to the checklist service. And then of course I added the code to satisfy that. And note that at this stage, the checklist service doesn't actually do anything. All we are testing at the moment is that the home page calls it correctly, and our home page is going to be using a mocked version of that checklist service. So we don't actually need the implementation details of the checklist service to test this component. All we need to know is that the appropriate method was called. Then in this next commit, I just make sure to call the add checklist method when the form modal save event emits. So that's what's actually going to trigger sending that data off to the data service. And note that I didn't actually write a unit test for this one. I could have by triggering the save handler in a unit test, but I generally don't do that for simple event bindings like this that are already going to be covered by the E2E test anyway. So now I'm actually implementing the checklist service. So I write some unit tests for that. So we're going to have a get checklist method that is going to return the observable of the checklist. And I've just got a test here to make sure that that is initially an empty array. And then we also want to have a test for that add method that we want on our service. And basically we are just checking that when we add a new checklist, that it is going to be added to the existing checklist, and it's going to be emitted on that get checklist observable. And once again, we can now look at the code I wrote to satisfy that test. And in this case, I'm just using a behavior subject right now. This might be the solution I end up with long term. I am particularly fond of component store. I don't know whether I'll be using that yet or not. But for now, this satisfies the code. It's quite simple and nice. And if necessary later, I can come back and refactor how this data is handled. So now I need to display the data that has been added to this checklist service on the home page. So to do this, I created a new DOM component to handle displaying the list. So you can see here we have this checklist list. And then in the next commit, I wrote some unit tests to describe what that component should do. So if we have a quick look here, we can see we just have this checklist input. And basically for whatever checklist it is passed, it is going to render out a list item for each of those elements. And once again, I then just wrote the code to satisfy that. So we have our checklist input there. And then in the template, we just loop over that data and display the title of each checklist. And then the last thing that we had to do was again, just tweak these E2E tests a bit to get them to work properly. I added the new checklist list component to the home page, and I made sure to supply it with the data that it needed from the checklist service. So now everything is complete and we're back at that original functionality that I showed you at the beginning of the video. The app does what it's supposed to do now and all of the tests should pass. So let's take a look at those tests actually running now. So you can see here we have our 18 unit tests passing. And if I just refresh the Cypress test here, we can see that both of our end-to-end tests are passing as well. Now, that'll probably seem like a lot of work for such basic functionality, but there are a lot of benefits to this. For example, we now have a suite of tests verifying our code does what it's supposed to do. So this is going to make changing things in the future safer and quicker. It's going to help other developers or even yourself in the future understand what the code is supposed to do. You can read the tests instead of trying to create an entire mental model of what's going on in the code. If any of this functionality breaks in the future, we'll know about it. We don't have to constantly manually retest when we update the app. The slower pace of development can also be beneficial, and you might make better design and architecture decisions that will save you time in the long run. So it's kind of like driving more slowly in a car. You can better take in and understand your environment, look out for dangers, and you aren't going to miss a turn or crash. If you speed, you might be able to get there a lot faster, but it's going to be very dangerous. And testing itself also generally leads to better architectural decisions, as testing bad code is generally harder. So if you find yourself struggling with some tests, it might push you to architect the code in a better way. And again, that's going to save time in the long run. So as time goes on in your project, and assuming that you're testing well, the initial investment into testing pays off more and more. It can be hard to demonstrate the benefit of TDD and testing in general, especially in a short YouTube video. I like to think of that 2 hours in time as paying my debt in full up front. And I'm now fully clear to work on other things debt-free into the future. If I were to take that 30-minute approach, it might seem like it's quicker and cheaper, but I'm going to immediately start accruing technical debt. It might be quicker now, but I'm going to pay for that saved time now in lost time later. So if I continue to do this again and again, then without a great deal of care, the project can easily spiral out of control to the point where it is almost unmaintainable. So it's 2 hours versus 30 minutes now, but mature this project by a year, and then it might be more like a few hours versus days or weeks of development time spent paying off technical debt, debugging, rewriting, refactoring, and so on. And as well as the time factor, there is also the miserableness factor of just how sort of demoralizing and crushing it can be to spend all your time trying to debug frustrating issues. Okay, so that's it for this video. If you're an Angular developer and you want to learn more about building with TDD by building a real-world application with Ionic, feel free to check out Elite Ionic in the description. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you have a great day, and I hope to see you back here again for the next video.